Hello, Dopamine Queen here. When I tell people that I'm a productivity coach, they assume I set up processes and systems for their business, and I don't. Well, at least not the kind that you think about. How you think, sleep, and use your phone are all a part of the system, but the system is called your lifestyle. And most of us are not very intentional about the way we live our life. Even though we might be super organized in one part of our day, when we're doing business work, we might not be as organized in other parts of our life. Take me, for example. I used to be one of those very efficient people, and I was a very organized consultant back in the day, one of the best in my field, one of the best paid ones too, and I've made companies millions by being efficient and optimizing their process. But when I burnt out, I realized that almost all of my areas of life outside of work were a mess. My house was a mess. My marriage was not doing so great. I had no future plans. I was putting off doing taxes until I would miss a deadline. And I would start but never finish reading a bunch of books. And I couldn't even make a plan for what I'm gonna cook throughout the week to save my life. And that is actually more common for high performers than you realize. So don't feel bad if you are procrastinating. It doesn't mean you're stupid, it doesn't mean you're lazy. Yet most of us don't know that something might be terribly wrong until burnout explodes our lives wide open. And that's what happened to me. I really had no clue I had a procrastination problem until it started spilling over into my work life, from my personal life into work life. And at that point, I was so burnt out that I started procrastinating at work as well, which was unheard of for me. And at that point, I did not know what was going on. And I felt like my willpower stopped working. So that was really scary for me. And I'll let you know right now, if you're procrastinating a lot more, that has to do with your dopamine, and that means something is going on. You are probably on your way to burnout. And if you are running your own business, then you probably think that making it in your business and scaling it up all depends on things like strategy and just finding the right way of building your business, having a good offer, maybe cracking that viral algorithm so you can make it. And that's certainly a part of it, but I gotta tell you that when you get into the game and you start realizing how much work it takes to actually make it, you will find out that it takes more than just the right strategy, more than just the hustle. And there is an inflection point that every business owner experiences. And that inflection point is when you realize that you don't have the capital to scale up yet, but you are already way too bogged down with daily minutiae to make the power moves that will take you to the next level. So those power moves can be something as simple as just designing a visual sales letter or writing SOPs for new team members so you can hand off that work and open up some free time to do more meaningful strategic work to grow your business. That's where procrastination really kicks in, as our brain starts rationalizing why we put off the moves that could set us free. And procrastination is a self-preservation mode that the brain activates when our dopamine levels get low. So the brain makes a calculation and decides that what you want to do is too risky, too costly in terms of how much it's gonna cost you in energy spend and all the negative emotions associated with that task or conversation. And at that point, the brain makes you stall because that's its way of taking care of you, saving you energy, preventing you from something uncomfortable and painful. But if you've ever put off simple tasks, like maybe removing your dishes from the sink, then you know that procrastination can be completely irrational. You know that certain tasks are not hard at all, yet the brain makes them out to be difficult. And if you're trying to override your brain's power savings mode, as I call it, with logic and brute force, it doesn't work. Not only that, but it can actually get worse, because the brain is gonna backfire on you by taking some kind of crazy revenge. It might send you into a Netflix binge session after you force yourself to do something that you've been putting off, or do something like, I don't know, have you ever eaten a whole tub of ice cream after starting a new diet and successfully sticking to it for a whole week? Has that ever happened to you? That is the same dopamine mechanism in action, whereby your brain will take revenge and find ways to replenish its dopamine anytime it feels like it lost too much of it because it did something really hard. So how do you avoid these binges, revenges, and sabotages? Well, as a biohacker and the creator of the dopamine switch theory, which is a new understanding of motivation and how burnout works, here is what I personally do. If I want to avoid my brain revolting against me, I first find ways to boost my dopamine levels before I start a new routine or I try to do something new and hard. And the easiest way to boost your dopamine nowadays is to just cull the things that steal your dopamine, like social media. Because social media has been designed to be really effective at jolting your dopamine, so it's using up that supply, which is actually finite. And when you scroll social media every day and you cut it out for just one weekend, nothing crazy, just 2 days, you will feel like you have the sufficient energy afterwards on a Monday when you come back to work to do things like have ideas for your video scripts, write a bunch of articles, shoot and edit some reels, and post all that stuff and make some content plans, whatever you've been putting off doing, whatever may seem overwhelming, whatever feels hard right now. All of that works because cutting out the thing that's very stimulating to your dopamine is culling that thing that's stealing your dopamine. And when you cut it out for a bit, it allows your biology to naturally replenish its dopamine levels. And that's how you're able to come back and have the motivation, the energy, and the desire to get your stuff done. And the best part about this approach is that your brain will not attempt to take a revenge on you if you do it this way. In other situations, you might have binged on stuff afterwards because you pushed yourself hard to get something done. When you intentionally work on replenishing your dopamine levels, your brain will not revolt against you. And that's how you can avoid these binges, these crazy unhealthy behaviors, and all these ways that we relieve pressure when we feel like we have low dopamine and our brain just starts doing crazy things. And it's a great way to feel very good and very accomplished. So I hope that you will try it out and let me know how you get on.